I found out that my nephew is hurting my little niece while their parents are just laughing, so I took my niece and screwed their life. My nephew Ben gets everything he wants. New phone, gaming system, you name it. Meanwhile, my niece Sophie gets hand-me-downs and blame. My sister and her husband think Ben can do no wrong. When they visit me, Ben acts perfect. But last Sunday, I saw the real him. Sophie was eating her breakfast when Ben accidentally knocked her cereal all over her new dress. Instead of helping her, my sister yelled at Sophie for being clumsy and made her clean it up. That afternoon, Sophie got a call. She'd won the school spelling bee. Ben immediately grabbed her trophy and threw it in the trash. Only nerds like spelling, he said. My sister laughed and told Sophie to stop crying. I watched Sophie dig her trophy out of the garbage, trying to wipe it clean while Ben played video games. That's when she showed me the bruises on her arms from where he pushes her into walls. I documented everything and called Child Protective Services. They investigated and granted me temporary custody, while my sister and brother-in-law have to complete parenting classes and family therapy. Sophie's been with me for 3 months now. She's doing better in school, and the court monitor says she's showing real improvement. Her parents get supervised visits, but they have to prove they can protect her before she goes home. Yesterday, she spelled happiness at breakfast, and this time, nobody knocked over her cereal.
What are you banned from, and why? My 4-year-old son taught himself to read, amazing everyone who met him. When we visited our local library, he was beaming with excitement about getting 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea after I told him about Captain Nemo's incredible adventures. He proudly placed the book on the counter, but the librarian's smile turned into a smirk. Behind her desk, she pulled out a paper sign and placed it right in front of my son. Warning, advanced books require reading test. She'd been putting these up all week, another parent whispered to me, sending kids home crying. My son said no thank you. He wanted this book and knew I'd check it out for him. The librarian laughed, holding up the book for everyone to see. And what exactly will you do with a book you can't possibly read? The entire library went silent. My son's eyes filled with tears as other patrons started staring. This brilliant child who taught himself to read was being humiliated by someone who should encourage learning. I told her my son would have this book. She refused, declaring she wouldn't provide a book too old for a child to understand. That's when I lost it. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, never, not ever, tell a child they can't read something, especially one of my children. You discourage them from reading, from becoming smart, and you should not work among books or children. We found another library, and I bought him the book and ice cream for his hurt feelings. He finished it in 2 weeks. Now he's reading at a college level, and that library lost their chance to inspire a brilliant young mind.
Have you ever beaten a liar in court? My business partner Steve thought he was untouchable when he orchestrated my firing from the tech startup we built together. Face it, you're just not CEO material, he said with that smug grin, waving the contract I'd stupidly signed 3 years earlier when I desperately needed his investment money. That document gave him majority control and voting rights. I'd poured my soul into building our user analytics platform from nothing. 18-hour days, missed family dinners, maxed out credit cards keeping us afloat during the lean months. But Steve had the business connections and deep pockets, so when he decided he wanted me gone, the board sided with him instantly. What none of them knew was that I'd been secretly documenting everything for months. Steve had been selling our client database to competitors, pocketing hundreds of thousands while telling investors we were barely breaking even. I had emails, transaction records, even recorded phone calls where he bragged about his side hustles. When I sued for wrongful termination and corporate theft, Steve went nuclear. He countersued me for $2 million claiming I'd stolen proprietary code and sabotaged client relationships out of spite. His $800 an hour lawyer painted me as an unstable, vindictive employee who couldn't handle being fired. The courtroom was packed with tech industry reporters. Steve had leaked the story, positioning himself as the victim of a disgruntled partner's revenge plot. He testified for 2 hours about my alleged erratic behavior and suspicious late-night server access. His acting was Oscar-worthy. The judge seemed completely convinced. My lawyer looked defeated. Then I stood up. Your Honor, I'd like to present Exhibit A. I played the recording. Steve's voice filled the courtroom. The company's paying me $50K for the user emails alone. My naive partner will never check the offshore accounts. Steve's confident expression crumbled. The reporters started furiously typing, but I wasn't finished. Your Honor, I also discovered Mr. Harrison has been filing fraudulent tax returns. Here's documentation showing he claimed $300,000 in fake business expenses, including a company retreat that was actually his family's Hawaii vacation. Steve's lawyer was frantically whispering, trying to get him to shut up, but Steve couldn't help himself. He started yelling about how I'd illegally recorded him, how I was violating attorney-client privilege, making it worse with every word. The judge banged her gavel. Mr. Harrison, I suggest you exercise your right to remain silent. That's when the FBI agents walked in. Turns out my lawyer had contacted them weeks ago. Steve was arrested right there in the courtroom for wire fraud, tax evasion, and corporate espionage. The handcuffs clicking shut was the most satisfying sound I'd ever heard. 2 months later, I got the company back, plus $1.8 million in damages. Steve's facing 15 years in federal prison. He called me from jail last week. I seriously underestimated you, partner. I hung up without saying a word. His wife divorced him, his kids won't speak to him, and our former clients are lining up to sue him personally. The news made TechCrunch with the headline, Silicon Valley Startup Scandal Exposes $1 Million Fraud. My company's valuation actually increased because investors saw I had integrity. Last month, Steve's mansion went into foreclosure. I drove by and saw the bank-owned sign on the lawn. His Tesla was gone, replaced by his lawyer's beat-up Honda as they cleaned out his office. If he'd just been honest and worked with me, we could have built something incredible together. Instead, his greed cost him everything. 3 weeks ago, I got a LinkedIn message from Steve's son. My dad destroyed our family, but your company inspired me to study computer science. Could I intern for you next summer? I hired him on the spot. Sometimes the best revenge is building something better than what was stolen from you. Steve's brother sent me a newspaper clipping of his sentencing. 15 years, just like they said. Written on the margin. He finally got what he deserved. Am I the jerk for completely destroying my former friend's entire life? Or did he get exactly what he deserved? Ads. What was your don't tell mom about this moment? Mine happened when when my daughter was 7 and almost got us both in serious trouble. My wife is deathly allergic to shellfish, like, carries 2 EpiPens everywhere and has been hospitalized 3 times kind of allergic. Because of this, we had one absolute rule in our house: no seafood, ever. Not even in restaurants if my wife was meeting us later. Too risky. My daughter understood this completely. She'd seen her mom's throat close up once when a restaurant messed up, and it terrified her. But kids are kids, and when my daughter's best friend brought coconut shrimp to their school potluck, she couldn't resist trying one. Just one. I got the call from school around noon. Your daughter is complaining about her tongue feeling funny and her lips looking puffy. My heart nearly stopped. I knew exactly what was happening. When I got there, her lips were definitely swelling, but not dangerously yet. The school nurse wanted to call an ambulance, but I panicked thinking about my wife finding out. She just needs Benadryl, I insisted against my better judgment. I'll take her home. I gave her the Benadryl I kept in the car, watched her like a hawk for an hour, and thankfully the symptoms started to fade. She was fine, just tired from the medication. That's when the real problem hit me. If my wife saw her puffy face, she'd know immediately, and she'd absolutely lose it that I didn't take our daughter to the ER for her first allergic reaction. I told my daughter she needed to take a nap, hoping the swelling would go down completely. Then I frantically started looking up how to reduce facial swelling, ice packs, elevation, anti-inflammatory cream that I slathered on her still puffy cheeks. Nothing was working fast enough. My wife would be home in 2 hours. I called my sister, a nurse, in complete panic mode. After chewing me out for not going to the hospital, she suggested a cold cucumber mask might help with the residual puffiness. So there I was, with my drowsy 7-year-old lying on the couch with cucumber slices all over her face, still slightly puffy, when my wife walked in 2 hours early. "What's happening?" she asked, looking at the bizarre scene. My daughter, still loopy from Benadryl, proudly announced, "We're doing spa day because I ate a shrimp and got puffy." I watched all the color drain from my wife's face. "You what? And you didn't call me? Or go to the hospital?" Her voice was deadly quiet. I tried explaining that it was mild, that I monitored her closely, that I had it under control, but my wife just picked up our daughter, cucumber slices falling everywhere, and drove straight to the pediatrician's office. I spent the night on the couch. For a week, my wife barely spoke to me. What hit hardest was when she finally said, "I thought we were partners in keeping her safe. Now I know I can't trust you with that." The pediatrician confirmed my daughter had developed a shellfish allergy, not as severe as my wife's, but real. We now had to carry EpiPens for both of them. The strange twist? My wife's allergist explained that children often develop allergies similar to their parents through shared genetics. If we hadn't discovered it in this controlled way, her first reaction might have been much worse, possibly at a friend's house with no one knowing what was happening. 3 months later, my wife admitted that while I should have gone to the ER, finding out about the allergy early might have prevented something catastrophic. My daughter's now 12, and whenever shellfish comes up, my wife still gives me this look. Not quite forgiveness, not quite anger, but something in between that reminds me how quickly I could have lost everything trying to avoid getting in trouble. Turns out, some things you absolutely should tell mom about, no matter how scared you are of the consequences.